What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another War Within video. Hope you're all doing very well. We're going to talk about Season 2, melee DPS, and the tier sets that are coming for each one of those guys. We're going to look at this this Undermine patch, and I'm just going to dive right in because there's quite a few melee DPS to get through. So let's just get right into it. I will put timestamps in this video. I think somebody was talking about timestamps in the other video. My apologies for not doing that. So you can jump around into the video and figure out where your spec is and where it lands, okay? Yo, I really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe on the video. I gotta get some coffee. Bye. So we're getting all these cool tier set bonuses. Cool. and let me just explain. The melee DPS thing is winning streak. That is the like word that they get. And generally speaking, this winning streak thing is a little bit weird. So basically there's like as you're gaining stacks of winning streak, there's like a long kind of buff that you're getting. So like a small percentage buff over time. And then when you consume the winning streak, you get like a large buff for a short amount of time. That's the general formula. Now, a lot of the specs break that formula a little bit, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But that's the idea here, okay? A long buff over time, and then you consume the winning streak, and you get a small buff over time, okay? All right, let's just dive right into it. We'll start with Frost DK. Spells and abilities have a chance to activate a winning streak, increasing the damage of your Frost Strike and Glacial Advance by 2% up to 5. So 10% damage on your Frost Strike Glacial Advance, okay? Obliterate has a 15% chance to remove winning streak. So again, it's all about like gaining it and then removing it. This is kind of a theme that we'll keep running through. Winning streak can now stack 3 additional times. While on winning streak, your Frost Strike Glacial Advance have a chance to cast Frost Scythe at 50% effectiveness, and Frost Scythe now also benefits from winning streak. So your Frost Strike Glacial Advance and Frost Scythe now get 2% up to 8 times. So 16% more damage to those 3 abilities. And when you're on a winning streak, so when you have the active buff, the 2% buff that stacks up, your Frost Strike and Glacial Advance have a chance to cast Frost Scythe at 50%. So I would say that this set, to me, it's okay because like you can get a free Glacial Advance from Arctic Assault, which is really cool, right? Consuming Killing Machine fires a Glacial Advance through your target. I'm assuming that free Glacial Advance that you're getting also has a chance to cast Frost Scythe. And Frost Scythe is a cool ability. Here's my issue. Frost Scythe doesn't really do any damage unless you have Killing Machine. Because, actually, no, sorry. I guess it doesn't matter anyway. It doesn't consume Killing Machine. Consuming Killing Machine reduces the cooldown of Frost Scythe, which is cool. The problem with this is that it has to critically strike or it doesn't do any damage, really. So, you have to have a high amount of crit, which you're going to run anyway. So, it's not bad. It's not bad necessarily. The only issue is that there's a chance. It's not guaranteed, right? Frost Strike and Glacial Advance have a chance to cast Frost Scythe at 50% effectiveness. If it doesn't crit, if this Frost Scythe doesn't crit, it's going to do like no damage at all. And in a single target situation, it's a very small benefit that you're getting. So I'm going to say that this is a pretty mid set here. I don't think it's terrible. It's not bad. Some of the bonuses you're getting are actually pretty good. Getting free Frost Scythes is kind of cool, except that if they don't crit, they don't really do any damage. And on a single target boss fight, they're really not going to contribute that much, I don't think. But getting 16% more damage on your Frost Strike and Glacial Advance is pretty good, considering you're going to send free Glacial Advances through the enemy every time you obliterate. So we'll see. I think it's pretty mid. It's like mid to bad, actually. It's almost in the bad category. It's probably at the bottom of mid, and we'll get there in a minute, okay? Next one, Unholy Dk. This is quite the opposite. Spells and abilities have a chance to activate winning streak, increasing the damage of Death Coil and Epidemic by 3%. Okay, those are your spenders, basically, right? Death Coil and Epidemic have a 15% chance to remove winning streak themselves. Okay, so a little weird there. Casting Dark Transformation grants up to 10 stacks of winning streak. So if you're sitting at like 4 stacks or something, you can go all the way up to 10 when you cast Dark Transformation. It doesn't go above 10. That's the point that they're trying to make there. While Dark Transformation is active, the effectiveness of winning streak is increased by 100%, and it no longer has a chance to reset. Oh my God! So now, instead of getting 30% Death Coil and Epidemic damage, you're getting 60% because you're getting 100% more effectiveness. Okay, so 60% and it no longer resets when you press Death Coil and Epidemic. So you're going to get into those large AoE situations on Unholy Dk where you're just going Epidemic, 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 and then you're out of Runic Power and you got to like build it back up again. Or is it Runes, Runic Power? I think it's Runic Power that it spends, right? Either way, having 60% more damage on those abilities is insane, and your Dark Transformation is a 45-second cooldown. And you can extend your Dark Transformation, right? Is it down here? It's one of these talents. There we go. Death Coil and Epidemic increase the duration of Dark Transformation. So while Dark Transformation is active, you can no longer, you're not going to reset your winning streak stack. So you can keep it going. You just keep it going by pressing Death Coil and Epidemic. So I think this set is really strong. This is a really, really strong set, in my opinion. I think it absolutely deserves to go to the top of the heap right here. Okay? So we'll move on here, but yeah, I think there's just fantastic synergy with the talents. Getting 60% more damage on your Death Coil and Epidemic is crazy. Dark Transformation is a low cooldown, and you can extend the duration of it. It's very good. Havoc DH. Your spells and abilities have a chance to activate Winning Streak, increasing the damage of Blade Dance and Chaos Strike by 1%, stacking up to 10 times. So only 10% more damage. Now, Blade Dance and Chaos Strike do transform when you're in your demon form, and they are much, much stronger. Right? Annihilation does a lot of damage. So 10% more damage on the meta version of these spells is pretty good. But still, it's only 10%. And it's just not very good. Winning Streak can now persists for 7 seconds after being removed by Blade Dance or Chaos Strike, because that's what Blade Dance or Chaos Strike will remove Winning Streak as well. So it persists now. Entering demon form sacrifices your Winning Streak to gain 1% critical strike chance per stack consumed. So this is really bad to me. You gain 10% more damage while you're building up your Winning Streak, up to 10% more damage. And then when your Blade Dance consumes the Winning Streak, it flips to give you up to 10% crit, depending how many stats you had, how many stacks you had. Now, crit is obviously very, very good for Havoc Demon Hunter because of things like Rage Fire, and then obviously Know Your Enemy, which gives you critical strike damage equal to your critical strike chance, equal to 40%, right? That is really good, but you have to swap one for the other. Like, you're building, you have 10% more damage, up to 10% more damage while you're building, and then you remove that to get up to 10% more crit. It's like, why? Why do I have to remove it? Now, you're going to get the Winning Streak persisting when it does get removed by Blade Dance. So it's like you get up to 10% more damage, and then you remove it with Blade Dance, and then that stage, you keep that 10% more damage for 7 seconds while it flips into the 10% crit. So now you have 10% damage and 10% crit for 7 seconds, okay? And then the critical strike that you get lasts for 15 seconds. So you're going to keep that crit chance for 15 seconds, and then you're going to start building up your Winning Streak again, which builds up your damage again on Blade Dance and Chaos Strike. So, like, the idea here is interesting. I just think the numbers are way, way too low. Way too low. Only getting 10% crit. 10% crit is okay. That's actually not a bad number to get. Flat 10% crit is pretty good. But 10% more damage on 2 abilities compared to the 60% more damage that we're getting on Death Coil and Epidemic, like, it's not even close. Not even close, in my opinion. So I think that the Demon Hunter one is really bad, actually, and should go here. I think it actually deserves to go there. Unfortunately, I'm gonna move these around. Shouldn't be like this. Hunter should be up here. Rogues, like Ret Paladin afterwards, something like this. Yeah, something like that. This should be down here. So yeah, I just think the Demon Hunter one, in my opinion, this is really lacking some love. It needs a lot of love to make it better. This whole idea of like you're getting a buff and then it persists, and then you get this crit buff and then it lasts for 15 seconds. Like, you kind of have these overlapping stacking things. It's kind of interesting, but the numbers are just way too low. Unless I'm completely misunderstanding how high you can potentially get this. Maybe you can. I mean, yeah, I don't think I am. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. But I think the Havoc one is very bad, in my opinion. Okay, let's go to Feral. Your spells and abilities have a chance to give you a Winning Streak, increasing the damage of Ferocious Bite, Rip, and Primal Wrath by 1%, stacking up to 10 times. So again, only a 10% damage bonus to your combo point spenders. Ferocious Bite, Rip, and Primal Wrath have a 15% chance to remove winning streak. Okay. When you consume Apex Predator's Craving, become a big winner, dealing physical damage to the Apex Predator's primary target and increasing the damage of your periodic effects by 4%. So I think that I read the, there was like a Feral Druid guy on Wowhead who did the review of this tier set, and he said it's pretty bad. And I obviously I'm going to agree with him here. This forces you to take Apex Predator's Craving, which to me, I think it probably gets taken in most builds anyway. So let's call that a wash, right? You're probably going to take Apex Predators in most builds. There's definitely some you might not take, but you're forced to take a talent, which kind of sucks, okay? And the numbers are way too low. 10% more damage on your spenders is not that much, right? And then this Apex Predator's Craving, when you actually consume it, you deal physical damage to the primary target. I don't know how much damage that's going to do. We have no idea how much damage this is doing. And then you increase your periodic effects by 4%, which is just like, it just feels so bad to me. Of course, this could tie in with Wildstalker a little bit because you get 4% more damage to your vines on top of to your Rip and Rake and Thrash. But 4% is just, again, really low in my opinion. So I do think that this is a bad set. I think it needs a lot of work. The numbers are way too low. The effects are not that interesting. They're pretty boring, if I'm honest. You get 10% more damage to your spenders and then 4% more damage on your dots. And then you get this weird damage proc. We have no idea how much it does. I could be wrong. If this damage proc is really high, that's great, but we don't know yet. So right now, I think the overall design of this is not very good, and I think the numbers are really poorly tuned, in my opinion. Okay, let's keep going. Survival Hunter. Spells and abilities have a chance to activate a winning streak, increasing the damage of your Wildfire Bomb by 3%, stacking 6 times, so 18% Wildfire Bomb damage. And then Wildfire Bomb has a chance to remove the winning streak. Okay, interesting. When your winning streak ends, your next kill command deals 200% additional damage and generates 3 stacks of Tip of the Spear. TLDR on this one, I think the only really good part about this set is the 3 stacks of Tip of the Spear. That is very powerful, very strong. If you ever play Survival Hunter, you will understand what I'm talking about, because if you have an ability that means you don't have to press kill command, if it generates stacks of Tip of the Spear without you having to press kill command, that is a huge win. Huge win. Okay, so this is also all in the context of having a brand new pack leader tree, and we're gonna have to wait and see how this plays out. Pack leader could be pretty cool. I think it's gonna be pretty good, but we're gonna have to wait and see how that plays out. But the bottom line here, this is giving you 18% more damage to Wildfire Bomb, which is very good. That is actually very good. 18% more Wildfire Bomb damage is fantastic. That is a huge damage increase because that's one of your primary damage sources. But this whole kill command's not the biggest source of damage for you. It usually does 5% of your overall damage, maybe. Especially once this pack leader gets changed and you don't have any bonuses to your kill command damage anymore. It's going to do even less damage. And then, but generating 3 stacks of Tip of the Spear, this completely saves this tier set bonus, in my opinion. I'm going to put it at mid. I think it goes here in the mid category. I don't know if it's better than the Frost DK one, but it's pretty mid, I would say. I think it's better than Frost DK, but not by much. Okay, oops, we just got rid of the whole browser there. Get that back up. So yeah, I think that like this just needs a lot of love. This is the only good piece of this, in my opinion. It's fantastic because then you can just press other abilities that are going to get a damage bonus, but otherwise the set is really, really mid to me. Okay, Windwalker, let's keep going. Spells and abilities have a chance to activate Winning Streak, increasing the damage of Rising Sun Kick and Spinning Crane Kick by 3% up to 10. So 30%, up to 30% damage on RSK and Spinning Crane Kick, okay? Then those 2 abilities also have a chance to end your winning streak. Fists of Fury applies 1 stack of winning streak when cast and when it finishes channeling completely. The damage of your next Fists of Fury is increased by 5%. Per stack when winning streak is removed. Your winning streak is always removed once at max stack. So a lot of things going on here. Number 1, Fists of Fury will give you up to 2 winning streak charges. Now, it has to finish channeling completely, which might be a problem for some Windwalker. I'm not sure if Windwalker monks are still ending the channel of their Fists of Fury early, like in a single target situation. Please let me know if you play Windwalker, if that's what you're doing. That was something that Windwalkers used to do all the time. You would end the channel of your Fists of Fury early because it wasn't worth it to keep channeling it the entire time. I don't know if that's still the case. Fist of Fury, but either way, you're going to get 1 to 2 stacks of winning streak right away, which is cool, which is going to buff your Rising Kicking, Spinning Crane Kick damage. And then again, your Fist of Fury could be up to 50% more damage when you get the whole winning streak stack removed, right? If you have 10 stacks, you're going to get 5% more damage per stack. 50% more damage on Fist of Fury is fantastic, in my opinion. And then your winning streak is always removed once it resets. So you have this kind of flow, right? You're building it up. Your RSK and SCK are all doing more damage as you're building up this kind of winning streak. And then it automatically gets removed at 10 stacks. And then your Fist of Fury does a buttload of damage. And it gives you 2 more stacks. And then you start the flow again. You start going. So it's got this really good kind of give and take thing going on. And I think it's actually a good set. It goes up here. This is a good tier set, in my opinion. So very good flow, lots of good damage amps going on here. Yeah, I think it's great. So not the best set in the entire game, but it's definitely good. Retribution Paladin. Paladin's abilities have a chance to activate winning streak, increasing the damage of Templar's Verdict and Divine Storm by up to 20%. Okay, 2% times 10. Templar's Verdict and Divine Storm have a chance to remove winning streak. A lower chance, which is nice. Not 15, 12. When you lose winning streak... This is insane. Are you guys ready? When you lose winning streak, you gain the last holy power ability that you spent back. And for 4 seconds, you cannot lose holy power. And the damage of your holy power abilities goes up by 10%. This is insane. This is insane. Okay, so you're building up your winning streak, 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%. And then, boom, you press Divine Storm. It removes your winning streak. And it refunds the Divine Storm that you just spent. And then you just go Divine Storm, Divine Storm, Divine Storm, Divine Storm. Because as long as you have 3 holy power to spend, you spend the 3 holy power. And for 4 seconds, you cannot lose holy power. So you just keep pressing Divine Storm over and over and over and over again for those 4 seconds. And guess what? There's like a million talents that also work with this, right? Holy power. So first of all, your Hammer of Wrath, right? Or Hammer of Light. You put down Hammer of Light, and then you start calling down the Empyrean Hammers. Guess what? Templar's Verdict and Divine Storm call down an Empyrean Hammer. So like you trigger this winning streak effect, and then you just go Divine Storm, Divine Storm, Divine Storm, Divine Storm, and it calls down hammers on all kinds of enemies and does a whole bunch of extra damage for you, which is really, really cool. The entire time you're doing that, you could be proccing a Divine Purpose proc, right? So you get another free Divine Storm afterwards, and then of course it's just burning your enemies for a bunch of extra damage. It's just crazy how good this is. This is such a crazy set, in my opinion. I think it's probably the best set out of all the melee DPS that I have seen. I think it goes right to the top. Just the design of this is absolutely exquisite. It's really good. You get a stacking damage bonus just like everybody else does, but when you consume that winning streak, you refund, you know, a Templar's Verdict, and then you just go Templar's Verdict, Templar's Verdict, Templar's Verdict, Templar's Verdict. Obviously, it's going to be Final Verdict over here, but like you're just going to get so much extra damage. You're going to trigger a bunch of Divine Purposes if you have it. You're doing extra damage. It's just very good. I mean, it's so strong, in my opinion. This is a very, very good set. To me, this is what some of the tier sets should be doing. A lot of the other tier sets are so boring in comparison to something like this. So I think this is fantastic. And there's so many implications for what this set could be doing for you. Okay? Let's get to Rogue. Sin Rogue. Spells with a chance to activate winning streak, increases damage of Envenom, Rupture, and Crimson Tempest by 3%. So 30% damage on your combo point spenders. Okay. Envenom, Rupture, and Crimson Tempest have a chance to remove winning streak. When you would lose winning streak, you would have you instead have a chance to gain maximum stacks of winning streak for 4 seconds. These cannot be removed and have a 30% additional effect while immune to removal. So kind of similar to Paladin, the Paladin one, you get this little window where your stacks cannot be removed, which is kind of cool. And The problem that I have with this is that it's completely RNG based. So it's completely RNG whether or not you actually remove these stacks. You have a chance to instead gain up to your maximum stacks of the winning streak, which is that's a good effect. Don't get me wrong. But it's a chance. I don't know what this chance is. Maybe it's low. I have no idea. So what I'm going to do with this one is put it in the mid category for now. I think it goes to the top of mid. It's almost a good set, but I'm going to put it at mid. I think it could probably swap between these two. The problem that I have with it again is that it's a chance. It's a chance. It's a chance to instead gain, but it's not guaranteed. So it's kind of up in the air. What if you don't ever get this to proc? If this effect never procs, if you do not gain the maximum stacks of winning streak, then this does nothing. This 4-piece bonus literally does 0 for you if it doesn't get this proc. So to me, that's really scary. Like, I'm wearing a 4-piece bonus that could literally do nothing for me. That's a bad design, in my opinion. That should not exist in this game. Outlaw Rogue. Your spells and abilities have a chance to have a winning streak, increasing the damage of dispatch by 6%, stacking up to 5 times. Let me just show you something really quick. Remember, if you're running Crack Shot, which everybody is, between the eyes will also dispatch the target. So even though a lot of the focus for Outlaw Rogue is on between the eyes, you're also getting a free dispatch. So just remember that, okay? Your dispatch damage is going up by about 30% if you stack it all the way up, okay? And then dispatch has a chance to remove winning streak. Roll the Bones has a 12% increased chance to grant an additional combat enhancement and also applies 1 stack of winning streak for each combat enhancement granted. So if you roll the Bones and get like a 4 stack of something, you're going to get 4 stacks of winning streak as well, which is really good. That's actually really good because that increases your dispatch damage. Stacks applied by Roll the Bones can exceed the normal winning streak up to 5. This is actually quite good. So your dispatch now, instead of doing 30% more damage, is going to do 60% more damage. And remember, every time you press Roll the Bone, or every time you press your Between the Eyes with the Crack Shot, you're getting an extra dispatch for free. And all of that is going into your Blade Flurry damage. Right? So 60% more dispatch damage also means extra AoE damage on Blade Flurry. So this is a good set. This is a good set in my opinion. I think it should go up here. I think it should go to the top of the goods. Okay, because this is actually quite good. So the Roll the Bones chance goes up by 12%, which is really good. You can grab more Roll the Bones talents like this, 12% increased chance on sleight of hand. And then, of course, Count the Odds is really, really good. You could be gaining Roll the Bones stacks all the time with Count the Odds. You could also potentially take Keep It Rolling to keep your your enhancement rolling. But really, the whole point of this tier set bonus is to gain Roll the Bones stacks, not to just keep them. You have to gain them. That's where you get the bonus. So things like Count the Odds and Sleight of Hand are really, really good. And of course, Loaded Dice. Every time you press Adrenaline Rush, you're going to get at least 2 stacks of Roll the Bones, which gets you 2 stacks of Winning Streak, which is really good. So I think this is a very, very good set. How much damage it's going to end up doing, I'm not entirely sure. I'm almost tempted actually to throw it up here. I think it's potentially worthy of going up here because getting 60% dispatch damage just means you're going to be doing more AoE damage as well and a ton of extra single target damage. So I actually think this is a great design. It's a little bit RNG based because of Roll the Bones, but your chance of getting a roll, you're cooling down Roll the Bones all the time. So I think you're over the long haul, like if you average this out over the course of time, it's going to be very good for you, in my opinion. Okay, Sub-Rogue. Your spells and abilities have a chance to activate Winning Streak, increasing the damage of your Eviscerate, Secret Technique, and Black Powder by 3%. Those are all of your spenders, right? Your combo point spenders. So 30% more damage on them. Eviscerate, Secret Technique, and Black Powder have a chance to remove Winning Streak. Sorry. While Shadow Dance is active, you cannot lose Winning Streak. You gain an additional stack of Winning Streak every time you gain one. And each time you gain one, and you deal 6% increased shadow damage per stack. So that's 60% if you're at the 10 stack, by the way. This is actually very strong. If we look at Sub Rogue, Shadow Dance is, of course, your core mechanic that you're using all the time. It lasts for 2 additional seconds with improved Shadow Dance. So it lasts for 8 seconds instead of 6 seconds baseline, which is actually really strong. And then, of course, it has an additional charge right here, and you're cooling it down with Deepening Shadows. So all of the different talents that you would want to take that buff your Shadow Dance, you're going to definitely want to take them now, because this entire 4-piece bonus is about Shadow Dance. I think this is really good. So you can get up to 60% more shadow damage inside Shadow Dance. Now, achieving that could be quite difficult, in my opinion, because Shadow Dance only lasts for 8 seconds. But basically, you're going to want to build up your stacks of winning streak. And then once you get up to about like 7 stacks or so, you're going to want to be inside Shadow Dance. I mean, you're going to be inside Shadow Dance anyway, so whatever, take this with a grain of salt. But in order to not lose your stacks, you want to keep like getting into Shadow Dance to maintain your 10 stacks as long as you possibly can. Because when you're inside Shadow Dance, you can't lose your streak, right? So this is going to be an interesting gameplay loop. I wonder if you're going to start out the combat by doing a bunch of abilities and not really doing a ton of damage right off the bat. And then once you get to like 5 stacks of winning streak, then you go boom, you go Shadow Dance, and you gain those extra 5 stacks really, really quickly, and you can't lose any of your stacks, and you just go Shadow Dance, and you just go and try and do as much damage as you can, and you're going to have that huge 60% damage bonus if you can maintain the 10 stacks. So I think it's very good. I would put it here a little bit under Outlaw Rogue. It's either the exact same as Outlaw Rogue or slightly worse, because Shadow Dance is very limited. That would be my only caveat here. Whereas Outlaw is doing Roll the Bones basically all the time. Shadow Dance is only possible, you know, it only has 2 charges and it only lasts for 8 seconds. So you don't always have access to Shadow Dance. Now, maybe if you shifted your build a little bit by doing where is it here? Where is the is it this one here? Refresh? Sorry, it's not refresh. I need vanish. There we go. Sorry. Oh, they got rid of that talent, didn't they? I thought vanish used to give you your cooldowns back. That's the talent that I was thinking of, but I guess they got rid of that, which is that's too bad. Yeah, okay. That would have been really cool if you could do that. But the point is, you want to try and cool down Shadow Dance as much as you possibly can. The issue that I'm running into here in my mind is that you're not always going to be able to have Shadow Dance up all the time. So you could take First Dance. I had this whole bit I was going to talk about on First Dance, but I just don't think it's really even a possibility, to be totally honest. But that's what I think about Shadow. I think it's slightly worse than the Outlaw Rogue one. Okay, let's keep going. Let's get to Shaman. Enhancement Shaman. Your spells and abilities have a chance to activate Winning Streak, increasing the damage of your Storm Strike, Crash Lightning, and Lava Lash by 5%, stacking up to 5 times. Spending Maelstrom has a chance to remove Winning Streak. Remember, for Enhancement Shaman, they are dramatically boosting the damage that your generators do. So Lava Lash and Storm Strike and Crash Lightning basically do double damage in Season 2 versus what they do now, okay? Now you're getting 25% more damage on your generators. When you gain a stack of Winning Streak, reduce the cooldown of Doom Winds by 2 seconds. When Winning Streak is removed, reduce the cooldown of Doom Winds by 10 seconds. So as you're generating these Winning Streaks, you're reducing Doom Winds cooldown by 2 seconds. And then when you remove the entire Winning Streak, you reduce it by 10 seconds. You get a massive cooldown reduction on Doom Winds. So this is very interesting. I think this is a good set. I don't think it's one of the best sets out there, but I think it's good. Doom Winds does not do a ton of damage on its own. It might represent 2% to 3% of your overall damage if you're in a Mythic Plus dungeon and you're getting lots of AoE damage out of it. The real benefit of Doom Winds is the Wind Fury activation. And the Wind Fury activation ties in to the totemic tree very, very well. It does not tie into the storm tree very well at all, other than the fact that Wind Fury weapon procs can help you generate Maelstrom weapon stacks, which can help you get back to spending, which is very good. Don't get me wrong, that's a good thing, but there isn't like direct Wind Fury synergy in the Stormbringer tree. It's really in the totemic tree. So you might be limited in your options of hero trees with this tier set bonus because it's entirely revolving around Doom Winds. Now, the cooldown reduction that I mentioned is amazing. This is going to be probably a 30-second cooldown or less, depending on how often you're triggering these Winning Streak procs. So You're going to press Doom Winds, and 30 seconds later, you're going to have Doom Winds back again. You're going to press it again. And then I would say you could do potentially a full-blown physical build with Enhancement Shaman, focusing on things like Storm Strike, which is now doing double damage, by the way, Wind Fury Weapon, which you're going to have active all the time, Legacy of the Frost Witch, which increases your physical damage by 25%. You could have physical dogs. You could take Alpha Wolf for another proc of physical damage. I mean, I think there's a bunch of cool things that you could do here on the physical side of the tree, and then obviously have Surging Totem doing a bunch of physical damage as well. So I think there's a really cool build you could cook up there. I'm going to say this is good. I don't think it's as good as the Sub Rogue one. I think it's probably on par with Windwalker. Might be slightly better than Windwalker, I would say. But yeah, I like the design of it. It's a really good design. I think it deserves to go in this category here. Okay, let's keep going. Last two, we got Warrior, Arms Warrior, and Fury Warrior. Arms Warrior. Spells and abilities have a chance to activate Winning Streak, increasing the damage of your Mortal Strike and Cleave by 2%, so up to 20% damage. Overpower removes Winning Streak, 15% chance. Okay. When your Winning Streak ends, Overpower then deals 20% additional damage and recharges 75% faster for 2 seconds per stack of Winning Streak you had. So let's say you have 10 stacks of Winning Streak and then you consume them with that Overpower. Your Overpower does damage, and then your Overpower recharges 75% faster for 20 seconds, because 10 stacks of the buff times 2 is 20. So 20 seconds of Overpower just going whoop, whoop, whoop. Like, Overpower is a 12-second recharge, I believe. Let's check right here. Yeah, 12-second recharge. So that's going to become basically a 6 to 7 second. Actually, no, it's more than that. It's going to become a 4-second recharge, I would say. If it charges 75% faster, 75% of 12 is 4, basically. Yeah. So it's going to have a 4-second recharge. So you're going to be like Mortal Strike, Thunderclap, or Mortal Strike, Colossus Smash, Overpower. You could Overpower twice. Remember, Overpower is going to do a lot of extra damage as well. There's a whole bunch of talents you can take to make Overpower better. Overpower is like the engine. It's like the fuel for the engine that makes the whole thing work. It makes everything work for Arms Warrior, if you don't know. So Overpower generates rage. It has a chance to reset Mortal Strike down here if you take Battle Lord, right? It generates extra rage for you. It can do AoE damage with Dreadnought. If you take Colossus and you start getting Colossal Might, it does extra damage per stack of Colossal Might. So your Overpower could start to become a very significant portion of your damage if you take Colossus. If you go for Slayer, it has other talents here, like Overpower gets 30% more damage right there from Slayer's Malice. And then you've got Opportunist, which also gives you more Overpower damage. So I think this is a huge tier set bonus. I think it's really good, actually, for Arms Warrior, because it's not just that it gives you more damage, it's that it helps fuel your entire build, which means you're never going to run out of resources. You're never going to have an open GCD where you have nothing to press. This is going to solve that problem completely. So I think Arms Warrior deserves to go right up here. I think it's actually a little bit better than the Enhancement Shaman one, in my opinion. Okay, let's look at Fury Warrior. Last one. Your spells and abilities have a chance to activate Winning Streak, increasing the damage of Rampage by 2%. So up to 20% Rampage damage. Remember, Rampage also is your AoE damage, because you press Whirlwind or Thunderclap, and then it makes your next, all of your single target abilities hit up to 4 additional enemies. So 5 enemies total. That means your Rampage getting extra damage is also going to contribute to your AoE damage, okay? Just remember that. So 20% Rampage damage. Rampage has a 15% chance to remove Winning Streak. When you gain a stack of Winning Streak, you have an even chance to either buff your next Bloodthirst or your next Raging Blow, okay? Your Bloodthirst will do 15% more damage, have 25% increased critical strike chance. Your next Raging Blow will do 15% more damage and generate more rage. So you'll get one or the other, either the Bloodthirst buff or the Raging Blow buff, okay? Now, this is whenever you gain a stack of Winning Streak, not when you consume it. So basically, this tier set is all about that first line where you're gaining Winning Streak bonuses. It doesn't even have a consumption bonus at all. It's all about gaining stacks. So this is actually pretty powerful. Bloodthirst critting is a really big deal, because whenever Bloodthirst crits, of course, it's going to put a gushing wound on an enemy if you're running Cold Steel Hot Blood. So again, if you whirlwind or thunderclap beforehand, then you're going to hit 5 enemies with a critting bloodthirst. It's likely to crit, and it's going to put a gushing wound on those enemies. So that's very strong. I think, yeah, that's pretty good to me. The Raging Blow one, giving rage to me is a little bit weaker. That makes it a little bit weaker, but extra rage is fine. You generally have enough rage generation on Fury Warrior anyway, but extra damage on Raging Blow and extra damage on Bloodthirst, and then extra crit on Bloodthirst is very strong, and in my opinion, makes it a good tier set bonus. Again, all this damage is going to go into AoE damage as well. So you're getting Rampage, Bloodthirst, Raging Blow damage. That's all going to go into your cleave as well. So I think this is a good set. It's probably a little bit worse than the Enhancement Shaman one. It's just damage. It's actually very boring, and that's why I don't like it. I would put it at the end of this good tier set bonus, but it's still good. It's like boring but good, right? The damage is there. The damage you're getting is there, but it's kind of boring, but it's good, so I'm not going to rank it low for that reason. Okay? There are your melee DPS bros for Season 2 of The War Within. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. This is just my opinion. Just keep it in mind. It's just my opinion. You might have a completely different one. Let me know what you think about it. I think that this is a pretty good representation of where these guys should be. And I think that really the only ones that need a lot of work are going to be these ones down here. These 3 probably just need to be tweaked a little bit on the numbers. They need to go a little bit higher, I would say. These guys are just, they need like maybe a full rework. Or Feral Druid in particular just needs so much love, I think. The numbers on these 2 are very, very low. They need to be brought up, or the entire tier set needs to be changed, because this one is just super bad. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you so much again for watching. I love y'all. I will see you in the next one.